Welcome back, Duke fans, to the Brotherhood podcast. We have a very special episode today. We have, in my eyes, the most important guest here today of our tenure so far. We have the top dog in the studio, Coach Jon Scheyer. Welcome in.
Great to be with you, Rod.
Happy to have you here. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. Going to talk about a lot of important things today, but first, it's Wednesday after week one. Tough Sunday for the Bears, huh?
We're going there already. We need
to
go there already.
Nobody's brought it up yet.
I was just going to tell you how great of a job you've been doing. I've enjoyed listening to all the podcasts and all that, and we're going to go right to the Bears with our week one.
Nobody's said anything to you all week. I just want to make sure people are thinking about it.
I'll tell you this.
It's supposed to be your year.
I still believe 1 week doesn't tell the full story. With that said, it was disappointing because my entire lifetime, the Packers have been the team for us. I've gotten a lot of messages from Packers fans, and at some point it's turning. Like, it's going to turn here soon. I like Justin Fields, what he said after the game, taking accountability, for their, the way they played, and I believe we can still do it. But man, that was a tough one, week one. That was a tough one.
I thought you would think that this year with Aaron Rodgers leaving would be the year to kick off.
You would think. But it's only 1 week.
Yeah.
It's only 1 week. So
what about, how's your fantasy football team looking?
Fantasy for me is my nephew.
Yeah.
And I have a little team, and he's the king of it all. Like,
nice.
He knows every player, and I follow his lead, and I like the way we're looking. Let's put it that way.
There we go. Awesome. Let's start before we get into a lot of basketball talk. We want to do a little off-the-court segment, get to know Coach Scheyer. So just recently, father of 3, I guess not as recent, 6 months now?
Yeah, 18 months, but close.
Oh, time flies.
Time flies. Time does fly.
How's it going? How's it just balancing first year as head coach with being a father?
Well, I think balance is probably impossible to get because you feel no matter what you're doing, there's always something another side, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's when you're a head coach of a college basketball program, there's always things going on with you guys. There's always a practice plan you need to get ready, or there's recruiting. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? So you need to be fully invested in that. At the same time, there's nothing more important than being a father. And so for me, when I'm with my family, when I'm with my kids, I've haven't perfected it, but I try to be really present. Try to give them my attention. I do, but also to enjoy these moments. I have 5, 4, and 1 are the ages, and I can't believe my oldest is 5 already. I can remember the day she was born like it was yesterday, and so the time is already flying by. Shoot, I'm already. Feels like you just got here. All of a sudden, we're going into year 2. You have your own podcast, and where things are happening. Yeah. So it's the biggest. Both jobs are the biggest blessing. I don't think it's ever fully where you have the balance right for either. You always just try to do the best you can, being present. And I'm lucky to have an amazing wife in Marcel who runs everything for our family.
Yeah. One of the best days of the year all the time is watching Jet surprise you for your birthday.
You would think after last year I'd be ready for it. I literally was more surprised this year than I was the year before. So
when we were talking about it before, we're like, is he going to be surprised? There's no way he thinks that we're going to do it back-to-back.
Exactly. It's actually more surprising doing it back-to-back. So
Jet loved Marcel was telling us before that Jet was all about the water. Well, I guess he really liked watching the video you first went here.
It's his favorite video to watch. You guys pouring water on me. And I've always told him, you can't do it. You can just watch the video. And so somehow Marcel must have got it in his mind.
Was his birthday present?
It was his birthday present where all of a sudden I'm talking to Dave Bradley and Rachel Baker, and all of a sudden I turn and I see Jet with a bottle of water ready to pour it on me. So this is interesting.
Not what you expected that day. Noah and Jet are 5 and 4. What are they? Are they playing sports yet?
They are doing a bunch of things. They have Noah's on a soccer team.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're the Hyenas or not. There's some. We're the Hyenas. All right. So we have some great coaching. That's for Noah. Jet's on a soccer team as well. The Dragonflies. Yeah. The Dragonflies.
That's a good one.
But you know what? They have so many interests other than sports. You know, Noah loves art. Jet loves animals, and they love a lot of stuff. And for me as a father, the most important thing is they find a passion. Just whatever that is, they can find. It doesn't have to be sport. It doesn't have to be. I don't care what it is. As long as they find something and follow it and have fun with it, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah. And how about your passions off the court? Obviously, you don't have a ton of free time, but I know you're a super competitive person. Everybody always talks about it. How do you engage that competitiveness? And I know you play tennis a ton around here with the rest of the staff, but when you do have an extra hour of time, what are you looking to do?
Well, for me, I still try to be active when I can. I'm retired from tennis for the time being.
Really?
I've converted to pickleball.
Okay,
So that's now the game.
You're at that age?
We did have a staff pickleball league. Nah, don't try that. Don't try that. But I guess I am at that age, actually.
Said you're retired.
We had a pickleball league, staff league this summer. I'm in the championship game. Somehow we never finished it. I feel like nobody wanted to give our team the championship.
Somebody's running from the grind.
Yes, exactly. But still play from time to time, as you know. My goal is to play the rest of my life. Hope I can be 80 years old playing basketball still. And for me, it's just chess, I would say.
Oh, yeah?
Chess is something I like to do from time to time. And besides that, it's watching film, coaching basketball, being a father.
Yeah. Who won that chess match between you and Max last year?
Well, so here's the thing. Max beat me the first time.
Okay.
But the second time we played, I was about to beat him, and he basically played for a tie. Like there was a tie then. So I'm 0-1-1 against Max, but I figured out his moves after the first time playing.
Okay.
So we tied. You can ask him; he would tell you the same thing.
I've seen that kid play a lot of chess in his day. He's constantly on his laptop playing. So 0-1-1 against a kid that he at least put in 2 hours a day to chess.
It should tell you I'm pretty good at chess, right? That should tell you something.
Right. Last thing off the court, I was going to ask, we have the Dribble for Victory coming up. Can you talk about that and any other causes that are important to you? I know that you obviously bring up a lot of stuff with our team and bring people in to talk to us about, things that are important just going on in the world today. But would you mind just touching on that briefly and how much that means to you?
Yeah, well, the Dribble for Victory we did for the first time last year, thought it was amazing. The turnout was great. The interaction that you guys had was terrific with other cancer patients. And, I've been fortunate from really starting back when I was a player here 17 years ago. Coach K's had great involvement in the Jimmy V Foundation. And I went to Napa a few years ago, got to see that up close. I think cancer touches every one of us, whether it's somebody that we know that's close to us, a friend, family, or personally. And so I'm very passionate about that, especially when it comes to kids. Mm-hmm. And, my wife, her background is in medicine as well. And so being able to be involved with the Jimmy V Foundation, the Pediatric Cancer Foundation, is a big deal for us. So we're very excited about that. I'll tell you the other thing for me that's really just in our world today is just gun violence in general. It's just the amount of guns that are in our country. And I have 3 young kids, and you drop them off to school, and you think about, again, in some ways it touches all of us, no matter where we are, what state we're in. And that's something that's really tragic. Yeah. And for me, something hopefully we have to figure out at some time, because it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. And obviously we had some pretty high level conversations about it while we were in Chicago, which was awesome. And I was just going to also say, one of my favorite memories from this past season, did we go over the day after Christmas to the Duke Children's Hospital and gave out presents? That was a pretty cool thing to be a part of, obviously. And it seemed like those kids really appreciated it. So, I think as a team, we get to do those things. It's awesome. And obviously the community really brings a lot of people together.
Well, the Duke Children's Hospital is incredible, and you also get to see the people that dedicate their life to helping others. Mm-hmm. The doctors, the nurses, the researchers, and, like these kids, what they're going through at times, and their positive attitudes They're smiling. They're upbeat, and I don't know if any of us can fully understand. With some of them at the different ages of, getting cancer and then chemo and then having to beat it. It's pretty incredible. Yeah. And for us, Duke basketball has always had a connection with the Duke Children's Hospital and Jimmy V Foundation, and it's really combining all those in one for Dribble for Victory. So hopefully, whoever's watching this podcast, hopefully, can come out, support, bring friends, bring family. We're gonna have a great time, help these kids, and also just celebrate, their health and the path that they're on.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move to a few last thing off the court, a few quick hitters for you. So, quick answers here without thinking too hard. Favorite Durham restaurant?
I'm going to give you two. Cucciolo is top favorite of ours, and there's a spot called Gocciolina.
Wow.
And Gocciolina is under the radar. I actually don't want to say it because it's our under the radar spot, okay, but I am saying it. Both those spots are two Italian, amazing spots for us, and I highly recommend both of them.
Oh, all right. Favorite sport to watch other than basketball?
Football for me,
wow,
or the Cubs in the playoffs.
Okay.
So hopefully this year we're on track. So, but I love football, I love baseball, I love playoff hockey. I like watching soccer in the World Cup. Sports. I love watching tennis in the majors. I'm a big sports fan in general.
Yeah.
But I would say football is the second biggest sport that I watch.
Nice. Hopefully, you don't have to wait another 80 years to watch the Cubs.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Favorite movie of all time?
You're just taking some cheap shots at me today, man. The Bears, the Cubs.
There's a lot of cheap shots to be made when you're a Chicago sports fan.
We're close, though, with the Cubs. We're close. And by the way, some former Duke guys on the Cubs. You have Marcus Stroman. You have Matt Mervis. Dansby Swanson is a big fan. I don't know if you know this, but I had a podcast back in the day.
Wow.
All right, so Dansby came on our podcast one time, and he's been really the heart and soul for the Cubs. But anyway, don't sleep on the Cubs this year.
Okay. All right. Favorite movie of all time?
Ooh, for me, it's the Batman trilogy.
Okay.
The Batman. What is it? Batman Forever.
Batman Begins.
But it's really Batman Begins. Thank you. But really, it's The Dark Knight. That's my favorite. The Dark Knight, I would say, is probably my favorite movie.
Yeah, a lot of Chicago biases coming out of you.
You see that?
Yeah. All three of them are filmed?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if all three. I don't want to be on the record saying all three when I don't know. Does anybody else?
They're known for it.
Here. If Pittsburgh's definitely. I was going to say
the Bane
Pittsburgh.
one, right? Dark Knight Rises, I think. But I think
right, exactly. But the other ones. Yeah. The first one, I think, is definitely Chicago. Exactly.
The tower that's like the water.
We should learn it on our trip, right? Yeah. Somebody told us
that. Favorite Chicago athlete ever outside of Michael Jordan? Or you can't say Michael Jordan.
I would say that's a good question. For me, it'd be Walter Payton.
Huh?
I wasn't, in his prime, I was just being born, but I grew up on, the 85 Bears team was the legendary team, and you watch his highlights, he was the original, well, not the original, because there's some guys before him, but who he was as a running back, showing up every day, he's a Chicago legend, always will be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then last quick hitter, it's a big one, NBA all-time starting five.
We've gone back and forth as a staff on this for a long time. So MJ, LeBron, Kobe, Steph is in there for me.
There we go.
Are we saying I'm putting a five together?
Yes, to win. Yes, to win.
Okay. So Steph shooting is, I think anybody would want that. And then I would say Shaq. Going Kareem.
Okay.
Kareem. Overall, that would be my five.
Oh.
Do you have a five?
I'd keep MJ, LeBron, Steph. I think I would throw Shaq at the five. Although, I don't know. It depends what era you're playing in, I guess. Because now it seems like he'd be slightly, I don't know if that's true, slightly less effective, I guess. But that could be completely wrong about that. And then,
Well, that's the hard thing, right? Like anybody that you name, like if you took MJ and put him in today's day and age, the amount of threes that he would shoot would be 10 times as many. The game is played so differently when you think about the 90s, the 2000s,
yeah,
let alone the 90s or the 80s. And but I look for who won the most. Obviously, you look at their impact. Like Kareem had as big of an impact as anybody.
yeah.
So did Shaq now too. I mean, it's hard to say between the two, but I'll give it to Kareem.
You'd think the greats would be able to, if they're dropped in another generation, it wouldn't take them very long to adjust to
No
that
doubt.
play style and become as prevalent as they were in theirs.
No question.
Okay, let's move into this past year, first year as a head coach. We're going to ask you about the memories of the first game, walking out there. What do you remember as your first time being a head coach in Cameron?
Well, I just remember the excitement that I had. I was really excited for us to start the journey, and I've walked out of that tunnel hundreds of times. As a player, as a coach, and it's different coming out last. And it's up to you. You're the one talking in the huddle pregame. You want to make sure our team is ready to go, but I also felt very confident. I felt like our team was ready to play last year, and it was an exciting time of not assuming anything is going to happen. And with our program and with this amazing succession that's happened, starting with Coach K and announcing his retirement, and then naming me head coach, but then the faith from all of you guys to make that jump to come here without me or the staff having any experience coaching together in a game.
Yeah.
And I thought we did. I'm really proud of the year, but especially that first game, that's a special feeling walking out and just feeling the support of Cameron. Like the support from Duke, our fans, our students, has been incredible. And to me, that's what stands out the most.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Are there any major misconceptions you took note of in the first, few months on the job? I assume as an assistant coach, you're seeing things and thinking of things. Is there anything that either occurred or you took note of quickly in your tenure that you were like, oh, this is different than I thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall you can read as many books as you want. You can have as many years of experience coaching as you want. But until you're in that position of being the one to make a decision, you feel it differently. You feel it. I feel it in here, and not in a bad way, in a way where it means something.
Yeah.
And probably this is not now being a coach or a player. This is going into year 16, I think. No, year 15. I don't know. These guys would probably know. You're 15 or 16, but each season something has come up that hasn't happened the year before, right? And so it's not about going back to the drawing board and saying we did this in this situation, or each season's unique, and then each challenge, opportunity within the season is unique. And so you need to really build great relationships. You need to really know your team well, and then you need to be really decisive in the moment, because coaching is about making real-time decisions with imperfect information, right?
Yeah.
You're not studying for a test and you have 3 hours to prepare for, the answers on the test or what's going to be asked of you. You need to make it in real time. And so for me, I'm lucky to have a great staff, as you know. Lucky to have really smart guys like you, and that care about winning, that care about the right things. And then we're going to figure out how to get there together.
Yeah. And you mentioned the staff. One of the things we wanted to touch on was in this first year, you've had some really creative staff decisions, and particularly outside of the Brotherhood. I know it's traditionally a lot of stuff has stayed internal with hiring former players, and you've gone somewhat outside of the box and, hiring Coach Jay, Lucas, and Dildy, and, Rachel coming from Nike. some different things. Is that something that you knew you wanted to pursue, or is that something that's just kind of happened organically?
No, it's organic. I think one, if you go through the history of our program, in Coach K's the beginning of his time, we've had other coaches outside the Brotherhood. It's synced up really well the last 20 years with having foreign players under Coach K, and that's still something that's really important. Like having Chris's knowledge of our program, Coach Carrawell, having Will Avery on staff with understanding what it means to play at Duke, and all that is key. But the thing I learned very quickly as I got into this being the head coach, it's always who before what. Like you need to have the right people, whether they're in the Brotherhood or not. And in order for somebody to come in without having played here, they have to have unique perspective and be really good at what they do. And the people you named, Jay, Emmanuel, Rachel, they're all big-time people, but also they've been big-time additions for what we've needed at Duke in 2023 and where our program is at. But the other thing that's happened is the people that have been here, they've had to elevate. Like I need them more. Like it's a different thing. And so for me, the chemistry, the ability to, make each other better, and we have a staff that, like you've experienced great coaches your entire college career, but some staffs you can get into where it's territorial or it's you're trying to bring somebody else down or it becomes individual. Our staff is truly a team.
Yeah.
Like we work together to help you guys. I think you could speak to this, but you never feel like Jay's trying to outshow Chris or Emmanuel or me. It's all as a team, and that's something special that we have here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's move into this offseason, this upcoming year, and everything that comes with that. Wanted to start with your thoughts on getting so much experience back. We have some stats here. We have over 7,000 minutes returning. That's the most since 2016, 2017. It's the first time returning the top 4 leading scorers since, you know this?
86.
Wow. Yeah. All right.
Don't be surprised that I know things right.
191 games started returning. That's the most since 2010. And then, sorry, I was going to ask just what does that mean to you? We're expecting to get all these guys back, and obviously, we'll be older than, well, I just read off all those stats. We'll be a little bit older than previous years. What does that mean to you? Just have so many guys come back.
Well, it's funny. We're older, but relative to other teams, we're still young. And, it's great to have all those, the things that you mentioned. Like, I love the fact we got everybody back. I think it says a lot about each of you with your commitment to Duke, your commitment to winning, your commitment to our program. But also it doesn't mean we're entitled to win anything.
Yeah.
And so you've heard me say it the whole time, but you can't assume. You can't be comfortable. You can't just think it's going to happen. And, why is experience helpful? Experience is only helpful if you take the lessons you've learned and change them. So we all have to change in a better way from last year. What we did last year was great. Won ACC championship and, like you say, undefeated at home, and we did some great things. That's not to the level of what we want to do, though. Mm-hmm. So for us, really getting outside of our comfort zone, building, I'm talking as a coach now to you because I can't help it, but it's true. Like, it's true how I feel. But from a talent standpoint, the team that we have cannot be more excited. We got it all. It's just a matter of not assuming, putting it all together, playing for each other. And I think this last one is probably the hardest thing to do, but how can you be present? Yeah. How can you be present where you're not thinking about, for you this year, last year, where are you going to be next year? What am I going to be doing? I need to be drafted here. I need to be, all that stuff is going to take care of itself. You throw yourself into the moment. And that's what, don't get sick of me saying it, because I'm going to say it on the podcast. I'm going to say it to you guys all the time. That's what it's all about.
It's exciting to see. Obviously, you've said it, and a ton of people in the program have stressed it. But there's a number of former players that come back, and they all say something along those lines. Tatum came back last summer and talked about how he felt like his freshman year he didn't fully immerse himself because he was so worried about what was coming next. And Quinn Cook and all those guys at dinner in Chicago said something very similar that just it's hard to do, but don't worry about what's next. If you throw yourself into what's going on now, like you said, it'll all take care of itself. And you talked about this upcoming team. How do you envision us playing differently than last year?
Well, we have naturally a different team. The great part about us this year, we can really throw some different punches. We can throw a fastball, we can throw a changeup, we can throw a curveball. I don't know exactly from, like we talked about yesterday with our team, lineups are still up in the air and rotation and all that, but we are going to play faster. I think our skill in shooting stands out to me, where we can be a team that can really spread you out and take care of the ball and put teams in positions where they have to decide, do I help in the paint or do I stay at home with shooters? And then defensively, we can pressure the ball a little bit more. We had a great defensive team last year, and we can't lose that identity. We're still going to win games with our defense and rebounding. But the different lineups, when you lose a guy like Derek's unique in what he does. We're going to play differently because of it, but we can play inside out. And I think versatility is the main word that comes to mind with our team.
When you're looking at recruiting and kids at a high school, are you thinking about recruiting to that style, being versatile, or are you more so trying to take the strengths of players and mold a team out of that?
That's a great question. Did you come up with that question?
Yeah,
that's,
on the spot. I
that's
don't even have this written down.
That's a great question. It goes back to what I was saying with the staff. The right people first.
Okay.
You got to find the right people that fit Duke from a character standpoint, talent, skill set, and for this place, you have to be wired a little bit differently. You have to be really competitive. A big thing we look at, which now I think the NBA looks at more than ever, is have you been through some adversity before? Like, are you running from competition, or do you embrace either playing with other really good players or playing against really good players? And I think if you look at the history of our program, the guys who really embrace that the most are the ones who have done the best here.
Yeah. Last question about this upcoming year. The game schedule is somewhat different. Obviously, we have the Arizona coming into town. Is that something that you want to add to the philosophy going forward with some home and aways?
Well, schedule will our schedule will need to continue to evolve, right? I mean, you look at, we just added Cal, Stanford, SMU.
Yeah.
I don't know if that changes how many conference games we're going to play. We're still waiting for that. Last year, we had a really good year. We won the ACC tournament, ACC championship in the tournament, and we were a 5 seed, and that usually hasn't happened in the past. Usually there would be your top 3 seed, and so you want to make sure the amount of quad 1 games you're getting. It's all about these quads now, quad 1, quad 2, and for us, playing a team like Arizona, they're going to be a quad 1 game. Having opportunities to play on the road early is really important. And so initially, we scheduled this game thinking we'd be on the road for the ACC Big Ten Challenge.
Yeah.
And of course, it's worked out. We're on the road for the ACC SEC Challenge. And so for us, even though all the opponents we play, it's different styles, puts you in a position where it's team you can play first round of the NCAA tournament or second round or third round. So the versatility of our scheduling is key, and also to be aggressive. I want us to play early and often. Let's play in some big-time games where we get tested, challenged. And by the way, you can get challenged in every game.
Yep.
Like, there's not a game in our schedule this year where, we can just go out there and win. We need to make it happen. But I would like to get clarity knowing our ACC schedule moving forward.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody listening would like to know. I promise you not more than me. But I can tell you we have some things early in the works for the following year, which will be really exciting, some different kinds of games, like the neutral site games has been a great thing for us in the past. We're playing Baylor in Madison Square Garden this year. We have one of those planned for the following year. We go back on the road to play at Arizona. We have the ACC SEC Challenge already. We're going to play Kentucky in Atlanta in the Champions Classic. So our schedule will continue to be really difficult. But for this year, I just love the opportunity that's ahead of us. We'll be, we'll play big-time teams right away. It'll be a great test for us to see where we're at. And then not to get too high or too low, we got to keep on going the rest of the year.
Absolutely. Last thing there, Countdown to Craziness coming up. You've been practicing a new dance in your free time?
The one dance move I had, I used last year, so I'm out of dance moves.
I may pull.
How about you?
I may pull that card as well. I don't even know if I don't think I danced last year, but
I think all the people listening to your podcast deserve to see you do a dance move. The loyal listeners, viewers, they all want you to break out a dance move. That's what I've been hearing from our social media team.
That's what you've been. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll get to work. You talked about the.
I'm not convinced, by the way. I'm not convinced you'll get to work.
I got
Maybe we should all send in some videos to Ryan of some dance moves you would like to see him do, and he can study it. And how does that sound?
Yeah, I'll do.
Okay.
Well, I'll do my homework. I'll do the studying. It's about doing. It's about performing when the lights come on.
That's right.
It's a different beast.
Give the people what they want. That's all I'm saying. Give the people what they want.
You touched on the ACC expansion. Wanted to get your takes on a few things just about the changing landscape of college athletics, specifically college basketball, of course. But it seems like there's been more change in the past 2 to 3 years than there has in the past 50 in college athletics. So how about the conference realignment, the ACC expansion? Where do you see the ACC going? Are you excited about the new programs and teams we have coming in?
Well, one, I've learned to expect the unexpected.
Yep.
You have to constantly be prepared for anything. And I think the 3 new teams coming in is a great thing for our league. Look, for anybody who says we shouldn't have had those teams come in, and I'm not saying that's out there as much, but staying still is not the answer.
Yep.
We need to be proactive, continue to look to add when it's going to be helpful for our league. And then, our league has to win games.
Yeah.
Let's win games. Let's continue to, build the brand of the ACC, build our brand at Duke, which is, to me, the best in college sports, period. But end of the day, you have to focus on what you can, too.
Yeah.
I try not to get the wheels spinning too much about who can you add next. And, I trust Nina King. I trust our president, Vince Price, who are all over this. And we have to just make sure we're doing our job of promoting Duke and making sure we're in a position as we move forward to be ready for anything. Because I can't tell you that the team isn't going to try to leave or who knows, like you said, the last 2 or 3 years, who knows the next 3 to 4 or 5 years what this thing looks like. But I do know Duke basketball is in a great position moving forward. I believe Duke is in a great position moving forward. And let's, just like I'm telling you to be present, I'm going to try to be present here and now where things are at.
Great. It's funny you mentioned the conference needing to get wins. It's always a funny dynamic, or I guess a funny switch. The whole season you're trying to beat the teams in your conference. You're trying to, you want to beat everybody. And then as soon as you hit the tournament, you're rooting for every team in your conference.
Right.
That's always a weird feeling once you hit the end of March and you're rooting for UNC and NC State and all these schools to help represent the conference, obviously. How about NIL? Obviously, we're almost 2 years in. It's still exploding. It's still changing college sports in general. What are your broad thoughts? Is it a good thing? Where do you see it going from here?
Overall, it's a good thing. It's funny looking back, like when I played, or you see different documentaries or on things you weren't allowed to do 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 5 years ago, and it's kind of ridiculous. Before talking NIL, I would love for you guys to be able to do what you need to do while you're student athletes. Like a big thing for me is the fact you only get only 4 hours in the summertime.
Yeah.
You know, like the rule was put in place so coaches wouldn't go crazy and then you guys wouldn't want to transfer because your coach is crazy in the summer. Mm-hmm. Now you guys are begging us to get in work all the time.
Yeah.
And so you're going to say that, you know, NIL, some people have abused what you're allowed to do, which is part of anything in life. But let's make sure you guys have the hours that you need. You know, I'm glad they changed the coaching rule where you can add 2 more coaches on the floor. Having a Will Avery on the court is a big deal. Like that's an added bonus for us this year, right? But those are the things to me that just don't make sense. It's never good when rules are different for different schools based on where they're located. And then it's never good when rules aren't enforced.
Yeah. And
if rules aren't enforced, then what are rules?
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, I think there's huge challenges, but NIL is a good thing. Yeah. NIL, you should be able to profit off of whatever you're doing. I saw something, I don't know who it is, but like a tennis player just won, and she wasn't able to.
Yeah, it's $80K at the U.S. Open. She couldn't collect it.
She's
yeah.
Should be able to make money from winning a tournament. You know, like those are the kinds of things. And again, I'm not trying to go down a rabbit hole right now, but you made me. So like that's
the question.
But those are the kinds of things for me.
Last thing of the changing landscape is the transfer portal. You mentioned it with kids wanting to leave. And I have the stat here too. I think we're one of 5 schools in the country with no transfers out. We got Neil from Stanford, but so 1 transfer in, no out. Obviously, a pretty rare occurrence in college basketball today. You know, again, what are your thoughts broadly on the transfer portal the last few years exploding the way it has?
Well, I think when we have one more year where you'll see a significant amount of transfers when you consider the COVID year.
Guys like me.
Guys like you.
Yep.
But then also, like you're a perfect example. I'm glad I can talk to you about this. So you had a COVID year, but also you redshirted.
Yep.
Right? So that's 2 years. And so look, having you is a huge luxury. Like your experience, your physicality on the court, your maturity is a huge addition to our team these last 2 years. And so you're not going to have that as much because people won't redshirt as much.
Yep.
Because you don't have to sit out when you transfer anymore, right? And then also you lose the COVID year. And so it's just going to shrink the pool a little bit more.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it's great for players to have freedom. I think that's a great thing. If they don't want to be somewhere, why are we making them stay?
Yeah.
At the same time, there is something to be said. I think there's always a point for all of us that you feel like, man, this could have been better, because it's hard. Like wherever you go to school, it's a hard thing. And so being able to fight through some of that adversity and to stick with it and overcome if you're not playing as much, how do you figure out how to get on the court? Those are things you have to deal with in life. But the freedom, I'm all for. The opportunity to go somewhere else, great. Probably should be a one-time transfer.
Yeah.
I know the NCAA is trying to make that happen, but I think it's overall a good thing. It'll continue to it'll still be a lot, but I don't think it'll be to the level that's been the last year or two.
Yeah. Once we get rid of these guys that are hanging around college.
Well, I'll tell you this much.
6 years.
I'll tell you this much in all seriousness. Thank God you transferred and you're here. You know, like you have been such an incredible addition for us. And, you know, like I'm saying this to all these people. I think
you can say it later too.
Yeah, I can say it all the time. No, exactly. I can say it all the time. But you've been incredible. Like all our guys look to you, the competitiveness, you're as good of a team guy as I've ever been around, period. And so, you know, you can tell I'm nice to you off camera too, aren't I? This isn't just I say these things to you.
I'm paying you to do it.
It's part of my NIL that you're giving me.
Yeah.
So, but no, thank God though.
No, it's been a lot of fun. That was one of the initial conversations we had about coming here, and obviously I wanted to play a role on the court and help this team win, but something that really affected me as a young player was the leadership of the old guys at Northwestern and some of the guys that really helped me learn what it's all about. All right, so I've taken up a ton of your time. We're going to end quickly here with some Duke in the NBA trivia.
All right.
And I'm excited about this one. We've had some pretty successful runs here, but I'm expecting you to perform here.
Who put these questions together? Is this you? Collaboration?
It's a few of us.
Okay.
It's a few of us in the creative team, DB, Nolan, myself.
Okay.
But you should. They're all
Gettable,
they're all
think?
gettable. Yes.
Okay.
First one, you shouldn't have a problem with it. Number one, how many NBA players rank in the top 20 all time for 3-point shooting percentage?
Say that again.
How many Duke players rank in the top 20 all time for 3-point shooting percentage? Sorry, DB, is this in the NBA? Yes. Duke in the NBA questions.
Okay, so I would say 3.
Yes. Can you name them? If you said 3, I'm assuming you have 3 in your
I would
head.
say Kennard,
Yes.
Reddick,
Yep.
and Seth.
Yes. That's great. Off to a good start here.
That's pretty good, guys. Come on. That's pretty good. Come on, give it up. Come on.
Number 2, how many first round picks how many first round picks does Duke have in the last 10 years? This question's asked because you've been on the staff for 10 years. But these are under your
First round picks. I'm going to guess 24.
22. Right there. Bonus question.
By the
there.
way, that number's incredible, by the way. All right.
Number 3, what former Duke player owns the highest career rebounding average in the NBA amongst all former Blue Devils who have played in the league?
Elton Brand,
Close. You want to take a second guess?
Carlos Boozer.
Yes. 9.51. Do we have Elton Brand's number? It's got to be right there, right?
It's a tough question.
Number 4, Duke has had 5 number 1 overall picks of all time, the most of all time. I'm assuming you can name all of them. So we're going to ask you about the 5 number 2 overall picks that Duke has had.
What in the world? 5 number. Second pick overall.
Yeah. Let's have you name 3.
Brandon Ingram,
Yes.
Jabari Parker,
Yes. One more recent.
Marvin Bagley.
Yes.
There's 2 more, huh?
The
There's
other 2
more.
are older than you.
Um,
I assume. I don't know if they've given up tennis and moved on to pickleball already.
he's feeling comfortable now. He's hit his flow. Who are the other 2?
Jason Williams and Danny Ferry.
I mean, the fact I didn't get Jason Williams is absolutely ridiculous behind Yao Ming. And Danny I should have gotten too.
Yeah.
That's on me.
Number 5.
Danny, I'm sorry.
Number 5. 7 Blue Devils have won an NBA title as a player. Can you name 5?
7 what?
Blue Devils have won an NBA title as a player. Can you name 5 of the 7?
7. All right. Shane Battier, obviously.
Yep.
Shane only counts for 1 because he's won a couple.
Yep.
All right. That's a tough question. 7.
Some obvious ones that you.
Quinn Cook.
Yes. There was one last year.
Jack White.
Yep.
Grayson.
No.
No, they lost. I'm sorry, Grayson.
When he was with Milwaukee. Yeah.
The timing. Sorry, Grayson. You are going to win one. How many do we have?
You have 3. You're missing an obvious one with LeBron in Cleveland.
Yeah, well, obviously Kyrie. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
That was
Obvious enough.
I thought we already established. Kyrie should have been established already.
There's another Duke Blue Devil on that same Cavaliers team in 2016.
Rodney was next year. Same team. Who was on that?
He's in LA now coaching.
I'm striking out, guys. He's in LA coaching.
Dante Jones is 5.
Dante was on that team. That's for Dante, man.
And then the 2 ones are older. 2003 with the San Antonio Spurs.
Who got that one?
Danny Ferry.
Yeah.
And then I've never heard of this guy. Golden State in 1975.
That doesn't help.
Jeff Mullins.
Yeah, if you've never heard of Jeff Mullins, we have to do some Duke history with you guys, man.
1975.
Jeff Mullins is a legend here. Oh yeah.
All right. Well,
By the way, I'm really letting one person down. Danny Ferry I'm just really letting Danny down today. So.
Well, you got a lot of questions right though. Okay, I know you got to get on the road, but can't thank you enough for taking the time. Started this a couple months ago just to give the fans back a little bit of perspective and insight of the program. So happy we finally got you on here to share some wisdom, and excited to get back to work.
Thanks for having me. This has been great. It's about time you invited me on this.
We wanted to make sure we were prepped and ready.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Ryan.
you.
Good job.
Thanks,
man.
Coach.